Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am making some felt ornaments that are stitched, made from die cuts, and they're scented. I love how these turned out, and I might gift them, but I'm really attached to them also. So let's jump in and take a look at the die set I'm using for ornament number 1. It's the Santa mug die set from Trinity Stamps. I'm die cutting the mug from red felt, and you can see how nicely the dies cut through the felt right here. Love it. I have the gingerbread man, which I will use to decorate the front of my mug, and he's just darling. So cute. And then I have some red berries I will use as an accent, and there are holly leaves to go with it. The cool thing about these holly leaves is that they press detail into the leaf itself, and it even showed up on felt, which I was so impressed by. You can see that same kind of detailing here on the whipped cream. Very cool. All right, I have the Sweet Holiday Wishes die set, which has a candy cane in it. I die cut that from red felt, and it looks like this, and it's going to look really cute, kind of like poking up out of the mug like that. So I have die cut 2 mugs and 2 pieces of whipped cream, and then I am going to set that second set aside and start putting it all together. So I'm putting just a little bit of hot glue on the back of the gingerbread man because I'm going to stitch around it. But the candy cane I am not going to stitch around, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere that now. But I will tell you, after making these, I learned that you should only hot glue the things on after you've done all your stitching. Like things that aren't getting stitched and are being glued on instead should go on last. That's what I've learned from the ornaments I made, but I'm going to make it work anyway. So I'm snipping off the end of the candy cane so it does look like it's tucked in there behind the mug. I'm going ahead and sticking down the whipped cream because it's going to be like one piece on my particular ornament, but you could probably do it the other way as well. Just depends on how you want to stitch things together. So I have some DMC floss here in white. I'm going to separate it down the middle, so I'm actually only using 3 strands of the floss. I like to do it that way when I do stitching, especially if I do stitching on cards, so I just stick with that. I'm wrapping the thread around the end of the needle 3 times, the end of the thread around the end of the needle, and then I just pull my needle through the thread and it gives me a nice knot. Now to adhere my gingerbread man and add some stitching, I'm doing a back stitch. So I take a stitch, I go up and do the second stitch, but I come back down through the end of the previous stitch. So it's got stitching all the way. There's no gaps in between the stitching. Now this is a perfect time for me to tell you that I'm not actually an expert in anything having to do with embroidery or cross stitch or such things. But I know a few basics and I really love making felt ornaments. This is not my first time. I probably make like 1 a year, and I really love the look. And every time I do it, I think, that's it. I'm making felt ornaments all the time, even if my stitching is not perfect. My stitches are not evenly spaced. They're not quite going in a smooth, linear way, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm making some dots there for my eyes. I'm going to do some French knots. So I'm just taking the thread, wrapping it around my needle 2 times, and then I'm going to try to go back down very, very close to where I came up with the needle previously, and then I'm kind of holding the end tight as I pull it down, and then I let go as it gets close. And then I'll do the second eye, which, yeah, it's a little wonky compared to my first eye. This gingerbread man's face, I'm stitching his little smile, and he is very unique. He's one of a kind, really, and his face just makes me laugh so much. Like, yeah, it's fine, right? He's cute. All right, I'm putting just a touch of hot glue because I'm not going to actually stitch on that part of the handle. But for around the edge of the mug, I'm doing a blanket stitch. Now, I'm not really here to teach you how to do a blanket stitch. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. I went through the top layer and hid my knot in between the 2 layers. And then I'm going to go back through both layers, come back through the hole I already went through. Once I pull that almost all the way through, it leaves a loop, and I put my needle through that loop. So here you can see my second stitch. I'm going through both layers, and then I'll pull that down until I just have a little loop left. Before I pull it tight, I put my needle through that loop, and you just continue on like that all the way around. It's going to give you the stitch, and it's going to run a line of thread around the edge of your piece. I love the look of this. It is a little bit harder to see because I'm using red thread and red felt, but I'll keep showing you some close-ups of it, and you can see it better as I go. See, there it is all the way around the edge, but I need to do the inside of the handle. I've left the top open so that I can stuff it. I want it to be nice and puffy. Here I am stitching the inside of the handle. So I've taken my first stitch, I'm coming up through both layers, and then I'm pulling it down till I have just a little loop and taking my needle through that loop. And I'm just going to do that. I think I got like 5 stitches right there. And then I tied it off on the back and then snip it off. So there's my cute blanket stitch all the way around. Now, before I go ahead and stuff this, I have some coffee essential oil that I'm adding to a piece of wool felt. I put 5 drops, I think, and this is going to be the scented part of my ornament. So I'm going to set that aside, let it kind of dry, and I'm pulling my polyfill batting, so to speak, off so it's nice and fluffy. And when I stuff it down in, when it's nice and fluffy, then you don't get like clumps. You know, when you stuff things, it kind of looks clumpy. You want to just peel it apart like that. So I'm going to stuff my little scent in there, my little coffee scented oil. It smells so good. I love this in this ornament, but you could use cinnamon, cloves, peppermint, orange. You could use a combination of things. I'm sure there's plenty others you could think of, and you don't have to like get the super expensive oils for doing ornaments. You can, you know, buy the less expensive ones because it's just for a fun smell, not for like medicinal purposes, right? Okay, so I put a touch of hot glue at the tip of my 2 points of whipped cream, and I'm putting my red, this is like twine, there at the top. And then I'm going to do a back stitch all the way around the whipped cream. Now, I'm really sorry about it not being on screen, but as a person recording a video, I have a video between my eyes and what I'm working with in my hands. So when I'm doing stitching and it's something you need closer to your face, sometimes it goes off screen. Yeah, but if you're interested in learning more about how to do like a French knot or a back stitch or a blanket stitch, just Google them or search them on YouTube and you'll get like experts that teach you how to do them. So I have stitched all the whipped cream closed, and now for the buttons on my cute little gingerbread man, I'm using the Bubblemint clay embellishments. I have used this gingerbread on 2 other projects already, and every time I have to give him these Bubblemint buttons because it makes me so happy to have the little peppermint candies there. Okay, now I am bringing in Ruby Radiance Rhinestones. Say that 3 times fast. And then I'm going to put one of the largest ones in the center of each of those felt berries. They just need like a little zhuzhing, you know? So why not a shiny iridescent red rhinestone? Yeah, that's what I say. It's perfect. I love it. But my candy cane needs a little love now. So you can see I didn't back it. So what I'm going to do is fill it with glitter. And did you know the Crafty Gluefriend from Trinity Stamps works with felt? I'm going to use it even more on project number 2 and put it to the test. So we'll find out how good it is. So I filled in those gaps on the candy cane with the Crafty Gluefriend, and then I am sprinkling on some rock candy glitter because it looks like sugar. It's so cool. Now this glue is going to dry clear, and here through the magic of television, you can see what it looks like dry, and it is so candy-like. It makes me so happy. I love it. So that finishes up ornament number 1. It's yummy. It smells so good. And I think it's really cute. Even if my gingerbread man has a little bit of a wonky face, he makes me happy. All right, let's move on to ornament number 2. Just between you and me, this one's my favorite. This is the Slimline Happy Snowman die set. This came out last year, I believe, and I do have some videos with him. I'll put my Trinity Stamps playlist at the end of this video so you can browse through there and check it out. I die cut 3 circles from some paper bag. This is a white paper bag. I was just going to use copy paper, but I have this paper bag there that kind of got a little crumpled, so I cut it up, and it's like the perfect thing to make a pattern. I die cut the 3 circles for the snowman, put temporary adhesive on the back, stuck them on a second piece of that paper bag, and traced around it. So I am making my own pattern for the snowman, like that. And then it's time to just cut that out, and I can use that on my belt. And I can use this repeatedly if I wanted to make more ornaments. I can just stick it in there with my die set, and it's ready to go. So let's bring out some white felt, and I'm going to use some pins to pin this in place, and then I just cut it out again. So there I am pinning it down, and it is like, I feel so like crafty when I'm making this. It's so fun. If you've not made felt ornaments, I highly recommend breaking out your dies and making something. Even if it was something simple like a star, it would be really fun. I mean, probably. You probably will think it's fun, just like me. All right, so now I'm doing the back layer. So just a second snowman the same exact way. So I have 2 pieces like that. And then I die cut out all his cute little things, his hat, his coal eyes, his carrot nose, a smile, his little twig arms, and a scarf. Now this is very fragile, cut from felt. So I am going to glue it down to a piece of green felt. So all those openings will be green. And I am trying out the Crafty Gluefriend because it was so thin. I thought hot glue would just tear it apart. So I let that sit for a while with a heavy block on it, and it glued down so good. I was super impressed. Okay, so now I am cutting this out with my like nicer scissors, you know, like fabric-y scissors. And then I have my scarf ready to go. All right, for all the like coal, is it 2 eyes made out of coal? Yeah, coal pieces. I am doing a French knot. I wanted to give him like a white highlight because it should be like kind of shiny. So I'm going to attach all of the coal pieces, his eyes and his buttons, with a white French knot. They like kind of were loose because I did the French knot in the corner. So I did a little Crafty Gluefriend underneath each of them to help them stick down. And then for the carrot nose, I got out a little bit of orange floss, and I'm doing a back stitch just right down the center. I wanted to have more like stitching details on this that are, you know, kind of subtle. So there I am tying it off on the back. I thought I would show you that, and you can see how the thread all gets collected on the back there, but it's going to be stuffed, so we won't be able to see that. All right, for the twig arms, I'm also using the Crafty Gluefriend, and I'm telling you, it really stuck down so good, and those are too thin to use hot glue, so it was really great. So here's right here, right now. I should not be doing this at all. Hot gluing the scarf down before I've stitched them together. But I wanted to really figure out where everything was going to go because of this right here. I wanted to give my snowman some rosy cheeks with the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide ink and a tiny little beanie blending brush, and he's so cute. The rosy cheeks make me so happy. So I ended up changing my mind and not using the die cut piece that was the smile, but I will show you, you could still use it. I just wanted like a really wide grin. So I did a back stitch, and this is the one time I actually didn't separate the floss into 3 strands. I used the full thickness, 6 strands, and his little stitched smile, it's a little crooked, and I love it so much. So here's the smile. You can bend and kind of stretch your foil, and I could have used this, but like I said, I wanted more stitched detailing and more of that handmade look. I am putting a little bit of Crafty Gluefriend on the band of the hat and let that set for a minute because I want to stitch the 2 pieces together, and they're just kind of small and hard to hold, so that would help hold it down a little bit without getting in the way of where I wanted to stitch. I am going to hot glue down the little holly leaves, and then I'm not going to use the red felt for the berries. This one's just a little smaller space than my previous ornament, and I'm using the second to the largest gems on the hat this time, and those will be the berries, just like that. Perfect. It's so good. Okay, time to stitch this up. I am going to do a blanket stitch again all the way around my snowman, and see, it's hard to get in where I hot glued the scarf down. So I am going to make this one scented. This time I'm using wintergreen. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. It's a little different than peppermint, something different, and I'm really loving it. So I have blankets stitched around a lot of this, but left an opening, and I'm using a dowel to really tuck that felt down in. Here you can see I just wrapped up my little scent piece. I actually ended up doing 2 scent pieces because he's so big. I put one in his tummy, one in his head, so he would be very well scented. Okay, so here I'm showing you where I'm closing it up with my blanket stitch, going in through both layers. When that gets down to a small loop, then I put my needle through it, pull it tight. And I love this stitch. I love this look for felted ornaments. I don't know if I would really do it another way because I just love the look of this so much. So there he is. Look at his rosy cheeks. It's so cute. Before I add the hat, I am going to put some string through the top. You can see I just stitched between the, or I went between the stitching to add this string, and this will be the hanger for this little guy. And tie it in a knot at the top. Then it's time to add his hat, which I'm going to hot glue. And because there's stitching on the back, I decided to cut a second hat, and I will sandwich those 2 together. That will help keep it sturdy and hide the stitching on the back. So I just hot glued that in place, and then I'll add the second one. It is going to sandwich over the hanger a little bit, but the hanger will still work. I have to say that Snowman and Santa Claus ornaments are my favorite to hang on my tree, especially Santa, but I love this little guy, and if I don't end up keeping it, my mom also loves Snowman, so maybe she would like this. I don't know if she'd like the wintergreen part. I'll have to ask her. All right, so the edges of my scarf, the red part, was so flimsy. I really wanted to keep it intact, so I thought I would add glitter. I'm going to fill in each of those openings on the scarf, just like I did on the candy cane, and add some of that rock candy glitter, and that's just going to help the sturdiness of that red part of the scarf. Then I decided we better put a little on the holly because this rock candy glitter makes me so happy. It's so fun. So I just did a little line down the center of each of those pieces of holly. Now I set this aside to dry for, I went out and ran errands and things and come back and the glue is clear and dry. You can see the green and it's so snowy looking, so like frozen. I love that look. So there are my 2 felt ornaments for this year. They make me smile. They really do. I hope that they make you smile too. Maybe you learned a few things. Maybe you learned it's okay if you're not an expert. Just jump in and have fun and create something that makes you smile. I thank you so much for stopping by today and letting me share these with you. It brings me so much joy to share my creations. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Happy stamping! Bye!